Welcome to a very special edition of Movers and Shakers. Today, we are joined by Daphne Doody-Green, the newly appointed CEO of the Bathroom Association. Daphne brings a powerhouse of experience to the sector, having spent 24 years at the CIPD, where she championed HR leadership, change management, and people management. Now, she is pivoting that expertise toward a new mission, leading the Bathroom Association through a major rebrand and evolving it into a powerful, influential voice for the entire supply chain. In this episode, we discuss her transition into the industry, the importance of collaboration, and why the bathroom is the one room in the house we should never take for granted.
Welcome to this very special edition of Movers and Shakers with Daphne Doody-Green.
Hello.
And Daphne is the newish CEO from the Bathroom Association. So first, let's talk about 22 years at CIPD. Give us your background.
Wow. Okay. So yes, actually 24 years at CIPD. Okay. So very, very long career at probably one of the largest professional bodies representing the people profession. So that's everything around HR, leadership, change, people management. And yeah, I guess I grew up at CIPD and more recently was the UK Market Director for CIPD. So I come from a place where I've championed good work, people, and that's in my DNA. So that still continues, even though I've moved into the Bathroom Association. That is a critical part of my world, change, transformation, all those things.
Yeah. So what attracted you to bathrooms, Daphne?
Well, what attracted me to a trade association first, if I can say that. So obviously coming from a large professional body, 160,000 members, I'm passionate about member organisations and I'm passionate about serving members and being the voice of an industry and being able to champion an industry. So when the opportunity came for the trade association, trade associations operate very similarly, and the opportunity to come into the bathroom industry at the time was because of the rebrand. So there was a rebrand, there was a change in name, and there was an opportunity to, I guess, pivot the association into a different direction. And all of those elements really excited me. And I'm still learning about the bathroom, but the kind of the professional body and trade association was.
So you had your interview, you got the job.
I did.
You're here now, and you're shouting about what the BA are now doing and what you're going to be doing.
Yes.
So what do you think is the biggest surprise that you've found since joining?
There have been many actually, but I would say. Well, there's a couple of things actually. What I hadn't realised is this one room in our house that I have taken for granted for many, many years.
Right.
I hadn't really realised just how many people and the army of people that are behind creating a bathroom. You know, you really do take it for granted when you're not in the industry and you don't understand. So that was a big surprise for me. Just
there's the installer market too, which is massive. Yeah.
Absolutely, all of it, and just all the compliance, the regulation, and all the product and how it's designed, all of it. You know, it's quite a lot. So that was a big surprise for me. And then the other surprise has been the complexity around the supply chain. And in some ways it's quite fragmented, a bit fractured. It's quite competitive, which is good for the industry. But as somebody new coming in, I still have not got my head around all the different pathways and routes to market. It's absolutely vast, and that was a big surprise for me.
So in terms of the members, there's some fantastic brands that are already members of the Bathroom Association, which is manufacturing talking now. So as a kitchen guy from a former background, it's very rare that a kitchen manufacturer would like to talk to another kitchen manufacturer for lots of reasons. But in bathrooms, you guys seem to be more akin to sharing information and having a conversation. So what do you think is the way to unlock, let's say, better collaboration, even better collaboration for growing the market?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. So what I've observed is there's a real connectivity in the bathroom industry, and I think that's partly down to relationships and legacy relationships, which I think is fantastic. But in order to grow the market, you almost need to identify some of those big ticket big challenges, if you like, the horizon scanning pieces that are going to bring the industry together, because there are many of our members are in competition with one another. So we're very mindful of that, very mindful around competition.
You just don't talk price, we talk generic support.
We do, and we talk about the things that are coming down the line, because I think those are the things that are for the greater good of the industry, not selling, not sharing that sensitive information, but looking at the industry as a whole and thinking, okay, how can we work together to improve things going forward.
I mean, great news that the association's evolving. We've evolved, and we're in this retail sector for bathrooms. So great news that you've managed to secure City Plumbing as a major player in the bathroom sector. So what's the plan, Daphne, to attract even more retail members?
So fantastic news that we brought City Plumbing on, who are an early adopter, and we really want to work with City Plumbing to help shape the proposition as well, so bringing and extending our membership base is all for the greater good of the industry. So looking at distributors, looking at retailers, but we are going to do that incrementally. So we are going to think about, okay, how do we help other parts of the supply chain? What would that look like? So for retailers, it is about compliance and regulatory. That's going to be hugely helpful for them. For our manufacturers, it's going to be that insight around consumer, so you can kind of see where the exchange of information, and this is about connecting parts of the supply chain that perhaps don't connect holistically at the minute.
They can support each other needs too. What are your needs from both sides? We want more people to be part of the association, because we want to build that influential voice. How would you specifically market the message to a retailer where they've probably been aware, or maybe they're not aware, that you've been predominantly manufacturers? How do you say that we want to embrace you to? What marketing methods would you now be adopting?
So one of the ways is our kind of flagship conference that we really want to, this year particularly, is use the conference as a platform to say, come along and see the Bathroom Association.
So go for the pitch. What's the date? Where's the venue?
Date is, goodness, you put me on the spot. So the date is the 8th of October, and it's at the Grand. It's at Birmingham. Please come along. We've got a great show for our members and for our prospective members. So we're really opening it up, and we want to be the voice of the industry. That's the most important thing. So that's an opportunity, and then through growing relationships and developing meaningful relationships with parts of the supply chain, and working with our partners and our other associations that represent different parts of the supply chain as well.
So when we're talking about value, so you're a value proposition. So everybody knows that there's lots of challenging economic factors, and there's cost pressures for a manufacturer and for a retailer. So how can the BA support people directly with those pressures?
So look, I think there's a huge amount going on in the kind of regulatory landscape. EPR is a really good example right now, the kind of packaging costs that are hitting our members. And arguably that's across all of the supply chain. So we're working very hard at the minute to build a case and represent our members, and really lobby for change in that space. So I think that's where a trade association can have real impact. Is
that necessarily about the technical side, or potentially the procurement, the purchasing side of it? Is it both?
I would say it's a technicality in that there is a
what the requirements are, and
there is a cost now for the packaging. Our role as the association is to make sure that it's fair, that there's an equality around that piece of regulation, so that our members are being charged correctly. And I think that's where we can show real strength in unity, because we can represent our members and hopefully our extended members when it comes to...
Yeah, I guess you mentioned before about data. There's such an ability to understand the data and looking at forecasting. That could potentially help a retailer or a manufacturer not make a mistake.
Yes, absolutely.
Or capture an opportunity.
Yeah, and look at all insights and evidence, and particularly for this industry, I think we lack that. So coming in new into the industry, We are perhaps a little bit behind in how we, the real detail behind the data and where we access that data. So I think that's a real opportunity for all parts of the supply chain to have access to meaningful data.
Okay, one of those things that's changing is this mandatory water label efficiency that's looming in the industry.
Yeah.
How can the Bathroom Association support retailers and manufacturers to prepare for this?
Yeah, so we're already quite ahead of that. We've been working on this for quite some time. We knew it was coming. So we've been communicating and engaging with our members for quite some time.
Is there specific dates or timelines, Daphne?
I mean, look, it's happening, and we spoke to DEFRA only a couple of weeks ago. So I guess our role now is helping our members to navigate that, and particularly around the labelling aspect of it, where the responsibility lies. Is it with the manufacturers? Is it with retail? Getting really crystal clear around the responsibilities and then being able to educate and communicate. And like I said, we've had a lot of consultation in and around that. Yeah. We've made sure our members' voices are heard. So if we extend, that would be a really good example, if we extend our membership, then we have a bigger opportunity to represent more voices when it comes to things like MWELS or other regulatory changes.
I would imagine on the 8th of October conference, this is where the updated information is going to be presented to the audience. So, in terms of previous conferences, what do you think is going to be different, or what are you going to plan to make it a more inclusive conference this year?
Yeah, I'm glad you've asked me that, because one of the things I think I was week 2 and I got the opportunity to go to last year's conference. So certainly the word inclusive is a really important thing for me. So we have made some small changes this year. So we've made it a 1-day must attend event with a gala dinner. So before we had some other events going around, but we're very mindful of members' time. So we want to make it one day, and we want to make it a really powerful
really
day.
In today's market, we're finding when we're attending any exhibition or a conference, the numbers are less.
Yes.
And I think it's because people are absolutely doing everything they can to make sure they're selling and they're running a business.
Absolutely. So we have to, so it has to be educational. It's got to be provoking. We've got some great debates, one of which you're going to help us with, the kind of the skills.
That'd be good.
The skills, the skills piece.
This is collaboration on the skills gap and solutions, and where we can signpost to get more people to be more professional and proper standards of apprenticeships.
Absolutely, and across the
really
piece, so we've got other professional bodies joining us to talk about what they're doing in that space as well. So we've got slightly different panels. We've got something on design, for example. So we've tried to create a programme in a day, which is not much time. And of course we celebrate 30 under 30, and we've already started to do that, and it's great to see nominations coming through already.
Just explain what under 30 means. Just explain.
Sorry, so 30 under 30 is an initiative. I couldn't tell you how many years we've run it for because I'm new, but it's a great initiative that the Bathroom Association does every year, where we recognise 30 under 30. So 30 young people under 30, and we recognise them for the great work that they do. So, talented young professionals, because we really need to recognise the next generation.
So is there some kind of awards ceremony going to take place on that day? Okay.
There is, and all 30 receive a lovely...
award being my age?
You can try, yes. I mean, there was a suggestion last year that we do 50 over 50, but we're going to stick with 30 under 30.
Do I look over 50?
But it is a delightful thing, and I think it's a real opportunity to recognise the next generation of leaders and MDs and people that we want to retain in our industry.
So the theme also of the conference, I understand, is going to be stronger together. So we briefly spoke about how do we get manufacturers to collaborate more together. Yeah. So just explain a little bit about this theme, stronger together, and how we're going to explain, listen guys, girls, let's work together for the benefit of what's the
so the reason behind
delivery?
Stronger Together. So last year it was about connecting the dots. So our annual conference was connecting the dots, and I think that was again an intent after we did the launch to say, okay, we're going to start to connect the dots across the industry. Okay, that and there was some conversation at the conference around how we might do that across the supply chain. the Stronger Together was almost like an evolving next step. So we're connecting the dots, and now we really want to pull the industry together. So we want to showcase the industry. We want to start tackling some of the topics that will help the industry kind of come together.
I don't know whether this is a good suggestion, where you've got a manufacturer and a manufacturer that's similar, but you can actually showcase these two companies have helped each other.
Yes.
We can do more of this.
Yes. Yeah. And back to my earlier point, this is not about the competitive stuff. It's about sharing best practice. It's about sharing insights that collectively will grow the industry, because we're all in it together.
And I think that's really strong for retailers, because we speak to bathroom retailers every week.
Yeah.
And they are very, very, very small companies, so haven't got HR departments, etc.
Yeah.
And they really want information
that
can help them to be better,
Yeah. So we've got kind of three kind of key areas of strategy. One is around, helping reduce environmental impact. The other one is around regulation and compliance, and then the third one is how do we grow the market. So for me, that's a big part of our opportunity to engage across that supply chain. So how do we help our industry grow? And we all have to do that. That can't sit just with the manufacturer. It has to be through the whole.
So strategically, 3-5 years time, we're looking at retailers, manufacturers, suppliers, builders, merchants. Where do you see the association, maybe in terms of numbers or opportunity in that period?
Numbers is hard at the minute. I would like to see all the big players, and the people who are representing the bathroom industry in the family at the association. But for me, I think what success will look like is we have delivered on that influential community. So we have managed to convene all the different voices from across the industry that we're tackling some big challenges together. Some of that will be about membership growth, and some of it will be about voice and how we, work with other associations as well. So part of our strategy is about growth and membership, but it's about how we collaborate with others as well. And again, for the greater good of the industry. So all of those things, success will look like when we have a much stronger voice and an influential community of from the industry, all tackling challenges together.
And the biggest, I guess, challenge is, Daphne, is the skills gap that we all talk about. So is there any ways, any advice or maybe suggestions that you guys would have maybe for the future, even to basically to engage with school leaders, education leaders about this fantastic industry that we have, the bathrooms, and how they can get involved in the diverse number of jobs that they can perhaps consider applying for. So do you have any sort of plans for the future on how you can support that?
It's really interesting that you've said that. So we recently ran a member engagement session, and one of the things that came out of it was the opportunity to showcase the industry. And it's really interesting because I'm somebody who's parachuted in from a completely different industry. And not a lot of people know the kind of wonderful jobs that are available. So we talk about skill shortage sometimes in installer in plumbing. Of course, we know that is one aspect, but the industry as a whole. So if I'm at school, like my daughter who's 13 and she's deciding to be a marketing person, she wouldn't necessarily think about the bathroom industry. She'd probably think retail, or she would go for one of the other sectors, because I think we don't do enough, to your point, we don't do enough at an educational level. So I think there's a role for us to play, and I think there's an advocacy role that we can encourage our members to get involved in as well. So how do you encourage of which there are many big members, and those that are smaller businesses, because smaller businesses can be really entrepreneurial and innovative. How do we get the word out there? So I think we do have a role to play in that, but I think that's with our members. And there's some great members already. Thomas Dudley, for example, do fantastic work in their local community to kind of create a sense of who what the industry does.
I think there's a two-way thing, because there's encouraging or giving people the signposting on how to get involved in educating schoolers, but also going back, to my day when I left school, there's something called work experience that tends to be not spoken about so much, but potentially a lot of the manufacturers could could open the doors for certain set days, maybe more so than perhaps they have time to maybe at the moment?
I think, what did happen to work experience? Okay. I did Lund Poly for 2 weeks.
Did you? Right,
yes,
okay,
I did, yeah.
I was an estate agent. I was licking stamps and folding things up and putting things in envelopes.
But it was a great experience.
That was a few years ago.
No, I agree with you. And having the opportunity even at a younger age, because I think even when you think about work experience, it was offered to us a bit later on. But I think maybe the sweet spot is slightly younger and really educating children about all the other types of jobs that's available.
I think the voice that you have now has a massive potential to look at that and think, how can we do something a bit different, and hopefully encourage more of that from the members, because I think they'd all like to do it.
Yes, I think so, and I hadn't really acknowledged that until it came out of the session that whilst we can deal with the current issue, which is about the skills gap. There's another role to play, which is about going back to the kind of root cause of, we all have a role to play in, I guess shouting about the great industry that there are great jobs here in this industry, and we just don't shout about it. And I think this is going to become more critical, because in the next 5 to 10 years, we're going to see big changes in talent and people in the industry, and that's me coming in very much with
from the CIPD
perspective.
The workforce will be retired, basically.
It will be, and there'll be new people coming into.
But it's a fact.
But there's going to be new leaders. There's a next generation of leaders. But then who are the people coming in to take on those roles? Who are the 30 under 30 in the next 10 years? We should.
Apparently not me, but there you go.
But we do need to. It is a great opportunity to look at that.
So we always ask this question, just coming towards the end of the session. So can you relay an amusing story from your career? I apologise, 24 years at CIPD, that we could all learn from.
Learn from?
Yeah.
Actually, I recently did. I think I did an article for KBB, and it's more of an embarrassing story, but it's one that I always kind of talk about. So when I had my daughter, and I'd just gone back to work after maternity leave, so this is a kind of 9 months of being on maternity leave, I had a really big meeting, so my first day back, and I'd got up at it was winter months, and I got up and it was very dark, and I got myself dressed, and young mum, all of that sort of stuff. Got to this big board meeting, sat down and realised that my dress was on inside out and back to front.
Ouch.
So that's not really a professional learning.
Somebody picked up on it before you did.
Yeah, but a very nice lady who worked with me.
That was fortunate.
That was fortunate. And so lesson is, don't get dressed in the dark. But I was forgiven because I was a new mom. But there's probably lots of learning. I mean, from a professional perspective. I do like to test and learn, and I like to test and innovate. And in some ways, like the whole point of that is that you get to test something and it doesn't work. If you test things a couple of times, they don't work. Walk away from it. Don't keep going at it because you think it's your idea and it's going to be brilliant. And there have been, there's been a couple of occasions where I wish I'd have walked away from something.
That's more good advice. I would imagine that in your background of your learning, your experience, that if a member had an outline question without getting into detail, you'd be great as a consultancy for people too. But obviously, just some friendly advice, I would say. Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I come with a different type of experience, and I can see where some organisations need help.
We get it here every day with the questions. They don't really understand. These are your options. And
there's always signposting. I think for me as a member organisation, we have to be objective, but where we can see some cracks or where we think our members need help. We should be the association that can, signpost them to the places they need, which is why we have affiliate as well. We do have. And we have partners, so that really helps with supporting our members. Yeah, so
I'd very much like to have a more detailed conversation with you, Daphne. Yeah. So if we were going to go, again, we asked this question as well. So if you were going to accept my kind invitation, we were going to go somewhere to eat. Okay. Are you pub grub person, or are you a Indian? Are you Italian? Are you Chinese? Or are you something different?
I'm all of them.
Good grief, that's going to be an expensive
so the only one you haven't mentioned, which is my favourite food, is Thai.
Oh, Thai.
So Thai is my favourite food.
It's very pretty food, isn't it? Thai
it's pretty food, but it tastes really good as well.
Yeah, sure.
But it depends what day of the week it is, because I love pub grub. I love it all. So there is no. I would just say Thai tips it a little bit for me. Is my favourite.
And would you wash down the Thai with a glass of water, or would you be something a bit stronger?
Depends what night. If it's a school night, I'm very good. I would go with water. But if it's a weekend, a nice gin and tonic, that's what I'd wash it down with.
Sweet, nice. Okay, Daphne, thank you very much. So if you've enjoyed this edition of Movers and Shakers, you can leave a comment. You can press the like. If you'd like to follow future Mover and Shaker videos, you can hit the bell icon on YouTube or follow us on social media such as LinkedIn. So Daphne, thank you very much.
Thank you, Simon.